if you can read out, Amadani Kamal has
Sure,
lost
sure. मेरे ख्याल से या
connection
तो
or
उनका
what.
माइक काम नहीं कर रहा है, so I will introduce him. Okay. अस्सलाम वालेकुम everyone. मिस्टर अफिया शायद YouTube पे नहीं जा रहा है अभी. मैं वहां से
It
भी
is
चेक कर
now.
Okay.
मुझे तो शो हो रहा है YouTube. It's
अच्छा,
live
okay,
now.
okay. Thank you. Okay, Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to another exciting session. And I would like to introduce Mr. Haris Khan. He's a Pakistani actor, producer, and writer whose work span film, television, theater, and immersive experience. Beginning his professional life in business and marketing, Haris transitioned into the creative arts in 2021. Trainings on the set across the theater, film, and TV. More about him is that before entering in the creative industry, Haris built a strong foundation in the corporate sector, working in marketing operations and creative leadership. His roles included positions at Urban Associates and Cometal Digital and the Beacon House Group, where he gained experience in the project management, brand strategy, and organizational operational skills that now inform his approach to producing and managing the complex artistic projects. So this is a very few words to introduce Mr. Haris Khan, and I would like to invite him officially. So over to you, Haris.
And I would like to add that I was highly impressed. I attended one of their shows, To Be and Not to Be, by his company, and I got introduced to him and Isha. Both of them did a marvelous job, and those I invited and attended, my children included, were really impressed by the show itself. And then this show went to Lahore also. So I feel proud that I was part of this event and learned a lot. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Rafia and Lubna, for the lovely introduction. I've been quite fortunate to have met Rafia earlier this year, and she was one of the first people who came across and helped our first production go live in Karachi, which kind of was like an onboarding to take to Lahore, and now that we're working on different projects coming up. Today, I'm just taking a session on teaching with drama and writing. As you've heard from Lubna, my experience in theater it's around a 15-year experience now, and I've been working since 2007. Um, and so basically, I've given workshops before as well, considering how to include drama and writing in different aspects in the corporate life. This is my first time doing it for teachers and bringing it to school, but I've planned my way across. Um, so I'm just gonna give you a brief introduction of. I'm just gonna introduction of what I'm doing right now. My name's Haris. I Lubna told you all. Currently, I'm working on two projects. I'm working on my first feature film as a producer. We're currently in the financing stage, and when you're doing film and you're trying to make a film in Pakistan, it's tough to get the funding part of it done when you're not rich. So we're kind of reaching out to people outside of Pakistan to help us fund our film. Uh, Along with that, I'm also working for a theater project. It's called The Mother. It's a French play, which was translated and adapted into Urdu and adapted to Pakistan's society. And it's going to stage in January 2026. Yeah, so that's pretty much it of what I'm doing right now. Um, I just want to see how many people have joined the session. So because this is, I've planned it very interactive, and I would love if people could be a part of it. Otherwise, it would be just someone saying words, and I don't want that.
नहीं Haris, इसमें यही मैंने आपको बताया ना, people keep on joining because some of them watch on YouTube. So it's okay. We are there to answer your questions.
Okay.
So you carry on, please.
Okay. So just wanted to do an ice-breaking session if anyone was here joining the session. Which I think I'm just going to go through the session, and I think you guys can completely go ahead doing this with your students. If you've not been doing drama or writing or any activity with your students as of now, this ice-breaking session will help you break the ice with your students. So one thing that I generally do with anyone who's come across, be it from a corporate background, from a student or a teacher background, like obviously you first of all you ask their name, and if you're doing it for teachers, that's how I planned it. You ask their name, you ask what school they're from, you ask what subject they teach, and you ask what subject they wanted to teach. So that's like a basic setup of just everybody introducing themselves. So now if you're doing it for students, you can ask their name, you can ask the name of their school. Obviously you're in a class setting and you know what school they are already in. You can ask their ultimate goal. That's something that basically changes from I think every year, and I'm sure you guys have noticed it with your students as well. Uh, Me personally, when I started out, I wanted to be a race car driver, then I wanted to be an astronaut, then for a brief while I wanted to be a police officer, and then I did it. And my O levels was medical, my A levels was engineering, and my degree was business, and I'm an artist. So I think that it basically changes overall for everyone. And so if you keep asking them every year, no matter what class they're in, you'll get a new answer every year.
तो
So
ये
it's
यहाँ पे जो तीन लोग हैं ना मौजूद, myself, Lubna and Kamal, we are all teacher trainers, and they are associated with my company. So we can just do this icebreaker for you. For myself, जैसे आपने
sure.
कहा, I wanted to read all the books when I was in my early secondary levels, like the middle school, 6, 7, 8. So the love of reading started with the English teacher, and I wanted, and that's where I actually started reading poetry. And ye wala aapka jo show tha, to be and not to be. These were the questions that I would write in my diary. So वो time था where I thought कि मैं सारी किताबें दुनिया की पढ़ूंगी, and I would be a very learned person. And as I came to the point where we had to select subjects, I wanted to be an Air Force pilot, and my teacher told me, no, Rafia, girls don't go to Air Force. They can't be pilots. And that was a time when we did not have pilots. And now I see girls as pilots, fighter pilots, in fact. So it is a proud moment that how we have moved toward these times where we see girls in such jobs or professions where it was, in my childhood, it was never thought कि लड़कियां इसमें जा सकती हैं. So my degree was basically then home economist, and I did education purposefully because I wanted to be a teacher. And that's when after intermediate I got a break, 1 year break, and I went back to my school to know what I should be doing now, because Air Force pilot तो नहीं बन सकी. फिर मैंने 2 साल पढ़ लिया है अब ये, तो अब मैं क्या करूंगी. तो there I experienced teaching alongside my own teachers, and I thought that this is where I want to be. To serve the nation, you don't really need to be an Air Force pilot. You can do many other things to serve the nation. So that's how I got into education. So
Yeah,
anyone else?
thank you, Rafia, for sharing. Anyone else who wants to share?
Awal or Lubna, would you like to share?
Yes, I just want to share about my journey. That initially, okay, अगर मैं ये कहूँ कि मैं शुरू से ही एक मेरा टीचिंग प्रोफेशन में शुरू से ही एक बड़ा होता था कि बच्चे जब छोटे होते हैं तो वो टीचर बनने का बड़ा शौक होता है उनको. तो एक टीचिंग प्रोफेशन एक नॉट बाय चांस है. मेरा टीचिंग प्रोफेशन जो मेरा अपना टेन्योर है विद द क्लासरूम टीचिंग, वो मेरा बाय चॉइस ही था शुरू से. बट येस, इनिशियली आई वांटेड टू बी अ डॉक्टर. और सबसे ज़्यादा मुझे शौक ये था कि न्यूरोलॉजिकल साइंसेज में. बट ड्यू टू सम रीजंस, जाहिर है एक बहुत कंपटीशन था, फिर बहुत एक एक्सपेंसिव उसका सारी चीज़ें थी. और आई थिंक कि उस वक्त जो है वो काफ़ी चीज़ें और भी बच्चे सोचते थे. आज तो शायद इतना फिर भी नहीं सोचते. सो दैट वाज माय एक्चुअली गोल. बट अगेन उसके साथ साथ मैं ये सोचती थी, बट डेफिनेटली मुझे ये था कि मैं टीचिंग में आऊंगी, नॉट इन दैट काइंड ऑफ प्रैक्टिस जो एक प्रॉपर डॉक्टर्स की होती है प्रैक्टिस. आई wanted to become a teacher as well in the field of medical sciences. So domain change हुआ, then फिर teaching वही है, लेकिन domain change हुआ. But definitely कि it's about more than 2 decades, 25 years I have spent in the teaching profession. Initially, I spent a lot of time and gain experience in the classroom teaching, and then I earned the degree in education, the higher degree in education again, and become a teacher educator and a research scholar as well. So this is my journey about my academic career and the professional career.
Thank you, Lubna, for sharing. Kaval, I think you still may be facing technical difficulties, are you? I think yes. So
No,
I'm
no,
just
no, no, not at all.
hold on. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I think my voice is getting echo now. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can
Yes,
hear you.
it's disrupted.
All right. Okay, so I also wanted to be a nurse, but then just hold on. I think two devices are. Miss Lubna, can you unmute me from other side?
Sorry, I can't hear you, Kamal.
Kamal, both the
And now
devices where you are
everything.
logged in, you have been made co-host, so you can unmute yourself.
Yeah,
Uh,
now I can do it.
okay.
Now I think it's working. So yes, here I wanted to be the nurse actually, and then because of some reasons I couldn't join nursing, and then I opt for the teaching because I felt like I really wanted to serve. And being a teacher and a being born teacher, I think मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मैं शायद born teacher हूँ, मतलब मैं लोगों को बहुत अच्छे से explain कर सकती हूँ, बहुत अच्छे से लोगों को समझा सकती हूँ, और मेरे अंदर वो confidence है, तो फिर I opted for the teaching, और फिर मैंने B.Ed किया। उसके बाद मैंने और फिर इंग्लिश टीचर का एक बहुत ज्यादा दिमाग पर चल रहा था, तो आई रियली वांटेड टू बी द इंग्लिश टीचर, सो आई वेंट एंड ऑप्टेड फॉर माय मास्टर्स इन इंग्लिश लिंग्विस्टिक्स। और फिर उसके बाद अब लगा कि अब थोड़ा सा चेंज करना चाहिए, तो फिर मैंने एमएस इन एजुकेशनल लीडरशिप एंड मैनेजमेंट किया अभी जेबिस से। एंड अब मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि अब मैं थोड़ा सा टीचिंग को चेंज करके ऊपर थोड़ा जाना चाहूंगी, जहां पर क्लासरूम से निकल कर बाहर थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लोर करना चाहती हूँ एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन मैनेजमेंट लेवल पर। This is it about me.
Thank you, Kaval, for sharing, and I'm sure, I hope and I pray that you are able to achieve your goals. I see that there are two more people who have joined, Arman and Uzma. If you would like to share something, please go ahead.
Uh, Haris,
I
you may
guess.
continue. The reason is they
Yeah,
just joined, so they can write. You can write your introduction in the chat. We will read as we go along.
yeah. So moving on. So one more thing that you can obviously go on and do it with your students. Just to For example, imagine you enter a classroom and a classroom is not talking to you. It's like 20 students who are either shy or scared or have had bad experiences with other teachers. And so it's a bit tough to get them to talk to you, to tell you things, even just about subjects. So there's one thing that you can try is basically children's, I think, are very expressive. And as we grow older, we kind of lose that expression. So when you're doing it with students, you could just come into the class, tell them their name, and ask them to emote, express some emotions that you name. I'll share these points with you as well, so you can use them later. So this is an expression game. You name expressions, and you get your whole class. They're not looking at each other; they're all looking at you. So that's why that helps them not be shy. And so you name the expressions. You can, for example, go on with happy. They all emote happiness. Then you go on to sad, excited, and so on and so forth. You do like 5 or 6. It kind of helps them get warmed up for your class, and also it kind of breaks the ice with the students. Moving on to the next slide, I think one thing that we all need to understand why we need drama in writing, and not just in class, in general, basically in life. It's going to help you engage your students. Students who are not speaking to you properly, or not involved in the class, or not basically, if you ask a question, they're not raising the hand. So it kind of helps them engage. It kind of helps them get out of the mundane and talk to you about something else. It also helps them understand. So it's basically you helping them experience their studies, not just memorizing them. And that has helped me personally, even with now when I do theater, it's kind of helps me experience it. When I read lines, it's tough to memorize, it's tough to understand what I'm going through. But when I go onto the stage and I start acting it out, it kind of really helps me understand what I'm feeling or what the character is feeling. And I think that's something that can help the students as well. And obviously, it kind of helps the students express, kind of helps them gain confidence to basically speak in your class, speak outside of class, speak at home, get on a stage, get on everywhere, helps them debates. In debates, helps them in sports, and all these other things that kind of shapes up a student as they go on in their life. So what we do with drama and what kind of tools do you think we would need? A lot of people, when we're talking about drama tools, they kind of the first thing that come to their mind is a camera, if not a stage, if not curtains. Um, what I think if you're doing it in class, you kind of don't need any of this. All you need is a teacher that is you and a bunch of students. So the tools that you need for drama, using drama as a tool for your class, you just need yourself and a bunch of students who are willing and kind of you've broken the ice with them. One thing. So before I move on, I just have a small game that I would like you guys to play, and it'll be great if you can open your cameras. If not, it's fine. I would just like you to interact. Um, So the first game and all these games, you guys, you can use this with your students as well. Whenever you're telling them about a subject, about a topic, it will help them understand whatever you're saying. Um, so this is the first game, and because I'm also an artist, it was kind of I had to make it a bit more fun for me while making this presentation. So this game is called Hot Seat. So this is something that is playing around with my presentation. So kind of helped me make it fun. So you know what hot seat is basically? It's basically you talking about a subject. For example, if you're a history teacher and you're talking about partition, or you're talking about 1947 or events leading up to the partition, you become one of the characters from the partition. For example, I think if you're talking about Pakistan and India and the events leading up to partition, I think one of the main uh, concerns or the main people who basically went ahead and helped us get it was Mr. Jinnah himself. So if you could, for example, become Jinnah for like 10 minutes in your class, sit down in front of the table, become Jinnah and ask students to ask you questions. And those questions do not have to be very specific to the history lesson that they read. It could just be a question like, what do you like to eat? Or what time do you sleep? And then obviously it could lead on to your subject as well. This kind of will help them understand how Jinnah was, what Jinnah was, and basically what kind of led them to create Pakistan, and his motivations. So I think playing hot seat with your students would be an amazing tool to help them understand a topic. I've got more examples. I've written them down for all the subjects that I think can go on. I think for English, if you're talking about novels, if you're talking about stories, I think you could play Shakespeare or any other writers and ask students to ask you questions about your stories. You could ask Students could ask you why you wrote Hamlet, or what is to be or not to be. What do you mean by that? It kind of really depends, and you could shape your answers considering the class that you're teaching or the grade that you're teaching, because obviously you will not be explaining to be or not to be of like to grade 4. You'd be explaining that to grade 9 or grade 10. So that will help you understand your students, and this will help students understand you better as well. If you want to take this to another level, you can ask a student to become a character, and all of you can become part of the class, and that will help them understand even more. So for
Very,
science,
very relevant, Haris, and we often use that. Middle school, I've been a middle school and senior school, तो मैंने तो बहुत use किया because I taught English and history. But we can even, I have seen teachers use it in the primary also. Like, you are a plant.
yeah, I'm
So,
just coming to that.
yeah, yeah, please continue.
Yeah. So again, by plant, for example, if you're teaching science, so my example was like become photosynthesis. So students could ask you, what if the sun doesn't come out, or what happens at night? So these are the questions that could really help them understand the topic that you want them to understand, rather than just writing it on a board or getting them to write it in their notebooks. For example, in Urdu, just two more examples. With Urdu, you could become Ghalib if you're talking about poetry, and for example, if you're teaching it to 10th grade. Or if you're doing maths or if you're doing physics, you could become Newton. You could talk about gravity and things like that. Um, I have one game for each tool, so I have another game that you guys can play. This one's called Tableau. I was again having fun with my graphics. So it's a table and O. So it's Tableau. Um, so what Tableau basically is, you could get your students, for example, if you're taking a history lesson and you want to talk about 1970s, you want to talk about Bhutto, you want to talk about Zia, and you want to you've given them the lesson, the initial lesson of how and what they were. So now what you can do in your next class is you can ask them to paint a scene or make a picture of that scene. So for example, you could ask them to make a picture of Bhutto. And that's not just one student making it. That's like 5 or 10 students making a picture of Bhutto or making a picture of Bhutto making a speech. So that kind of helps them understand how Bhutto's character was. And I think he's one of the very famous politicians that we've had who's very eccentric and very loud. And that's something, very inspiring, some people might say as well. So with that is, for example, you have 5 students, one student may become a stage, one may become a mic, one may become Bhutto himself, one may become a backdrop. So it's basically them setting a scene of 1970s, 1972, 5, whenever, of Bhutto talking to his audience. And that, I think, again, makes the classroom much more fun, much more interesting for students. And if you tell them, for example, you take a class and you teach them about Bhutto, again, following that example, you teach them about Bhutto, and then you tell them in the next class they have to make a picture out of it. And then you let them play with it. You don't even tell them to become Bhutto. They play with it and then you guess. So that's, I think, that will make it more interesting for students coming on board. I have 5 more examples that you guys can use for different subjects. For
अच्छा,
English,
मिडिल स्कूल तक तो मुगल्स पढ़े होते बच्चे, तो कोई जहांगीर बनता है, कोई औरंगजेब बनता है। पाकिस्तानी हिस्ट्री तो पाकिस्तान स्टडीज में जाके बुक में जाके समाती है बहुत थोड़ी थोड़ी। दीज फिगर्स आर एक्चुअली नॉट टॉट इन डिटेल कि इनका क्या कंट्रीब्यूशन था या क्या प्रोस एंड कॉन्स थे इनके एरा के। मोस्टली वी स्टडी मुगल्स टिल मिडिल स्कूल, चिल्ड्रन स्टडी मुगल हिस्ट्री, देन इंडिपेंडेंस,
so
एंड
again,
देन इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद क्या हुआ वो सारा is left to their own till they actually study a chapter maybe.
I think it comes in like O levels or A levels, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, all right. So, like for example, you could do a scene from Aurangzeb, or you could do a Mughal scene. That'd be great.
Ah.
And the best thing about this is they don't have props. So, for example,
Yes.
अगर उनको शहाना दिखाना है, they have to do it with their bodies. अगर उनको
Yes.
दिखाना है कि उसने क्लोक पहना हुआ है, तो एक बच्चे को उसकी गर्दन पे यूं लटकना पड़ेगा क्लोक करने के लिए. So it's much more fun, and it helps them understand the topic that they're reading or studying. Again, I had some examples. For English, for example, if you're doing novels and all, again, English literature. So you could ask them to paint a scene, the famous scene from Romeo and Juliet, or they could do it on themselves, जो एक balcony वाला scene है. Or it could also be later on. I think again, ये भी middle school में नहीं होता होगा. This is later on the studies as well. Science में you could ask them to become the solar system. Children can basically become planets and revolve in a class. I think even the thought of it makes me smile or makes me enjoy what I would witness when I would witness just walking into a class or a snake sun bana when people are just students are roaming around and trying to explain what the solar system is. So rather than just watching a picture on their book and getting you to draw it on a board, I think it'll be much more fun for them to become the solar system themselves and make it much more interesting and understand what it is. And for example, I'm not sure right now as if Pluto is still a planet or not, but for some reason Pluto was asked to leave.
It
So
is, it is. It very much is there. अब तो और भी चीजें ऐड हो रही है ना, other celestial
exactly. So
bodies that
in
are
that
significant.
in that sense, you could have students coming in the scene. You make a basic solar system of 9 planets, and then different planets come in and they join the whole system. That it kind of becomes a scene rather than a picture. So I think that would be much more fun when you're reading solar system. With Urdu, I had an example of just, for example, अगर आप उसकी grammar पढ़ रहे हो, and so you ask the students to become opposite words. For example, अगर आप एक बच्चा खुशी बना हुआ है, तो एक बच्चा गम बना. So kind of, and this helps them express again engaging, expressing, and understanding what the topic is, and basically helps them gain confidence out of class as well. So that's what
That's
you could.
we do in life skills curriculum. अब ये सारे स्कूल नहीं करते हारिस, but there is this where children actually share their emotions. Why do they get angry? And actually they do role plays. So
Hmm.
PSHE curriculum कहलाता है physical health, social education. So उसमें बच्चों को role plays, and I think that is a very healthy exercise. And the purpose of this session was this, that we need to realize the important role of drama and role play in helping children regularize their emotions and express express their feelings.
I think it's very important to bring it to all subjects.
Yes.
It's very important to bring it to all subjects because obviously मुझे अब class से निकले बहुत time हो चुका है. But if I had these tools in my class, I think जो मैं 6 साल corporate में गुजारे मैं वो भी ना गुजारता, I would have directly gone into acting. So it kind of helps you understand what you really want to become. These are just small tools that will help students realize, actualize what they want to become moving forward. And not just in acting, it could be anything else. For example, अगर आप astronaut का role play करवा रहे हो. For example, if you're asking them to become a cricketer, it's just a role play, and then they kind of through that role play they understand and they feel like, okay, this is what I want to become, and then they shape their whole life according to that. With maths, for example, I had the idea of they could become symmetry. They could because we have 10 students and 5 students you ask them to make something, and the other 5 they basically copy them, and it kind of and helps them understand what symmetry is. All in all, as well, it is a drama game that helps them become and use their bodies becoming something that basically it's very tough to do it with one person. So that's some games that they can do with drama tools. Moving on to the next one, with writing tools, I think everybody, whenever you come to writing tools, I think you all must think that there's a notebook, there's a pen, and that's pretty much it what you need. And and you are right. You do need a pen and notebook. It's not like how it was in drama tools. You do not need a camera, you do not need a stage, but you do need a notebook and a pen for your writing tools. Again, we have games for that as well. But before I move into the games, I just want to talk about how writing could basically help. I think writing, even before moving into drama, you need writing. You can't just move into or go onto a stage. I'm talking about theatrical terms. You can't just go on a stage without anything written. And it is very important that you know the direction of what you're going to do. Even as actors who've done theater for like the past 20 years, they all need scripts. So your students who are doing it for the first time or maybe the fifth time, they will obviously know and would want to know what they're going to do. Even if it's just a direction, some students may not be great at improvising, and considering it might be the first time, that is not advisable. So I would always advise you to go into writing before you go into drama. And these are some games that you could use. So the first game is chat sprint. Chat sprint is basically you tell them, for example, if you guys are good and want to play, you could write it on your notebook nearby. And obviously, it's fun. You can play it with your students as well. So chat sprint is basically I give you a situation and I give you 30 seconds to write one line about it. I tell you what you're going to write the line about, and I give the situation, and you just write 30 seconds. There's a buzzer, you write, and then the buzzer goes off, and then we go move on to the next. And by the end of it, we do like 5 or 6, and then you read out, and it's generally a lot of fun, and it's a good writing exercise. So for example, I had some examples that we could use. It's like with students, you could be like, imagine you are rain falling for the first time. You have to write one line about it. It's the first time that you're falling. You don't know what you're experiencing. You were in a cloud all this time, and now you're just falling from the sky to the ground with like 9.8 meters per second, no gravity. You're probably scared, and you're not sure how the earth would feel basically, how the people on earth or anything else, but you have no idea what it is. So it's fun to just give them 30 seconds to write about that, and you can move forward. Uh, the 4 more examples that we could use, it's basically one is invent a dramatic last line of a story. And it's not supposed to be something that you've read before. It can't be they lived happily ever after. It has to be something very dramatic. So obviously when you, depending on the class you're teaching, it will change, and the kind of student that you're teaching, it will change according to that, and it will help you understand that student even more, because this is them using their creativity. They're using their brains, they're using their experiences from out of school, from inside of school, from inside of your class, writing one line, and you could one line where you can find everything about your student. So that's something that will really help you and the student as well. um, Another example would be, imagine you are a soldier fighting a historic battle. So what's that one line going through your head? So that's again another example that you could use. One of the funny ones was, you could, like, for example, imagine you're the number zero and you have one question to ask all the other numbers. What would you ask? So again, that's also fun to do it with kids. And again, it's amazing when you come, because I've done this with students of theater. So when you read those out, it's just, it's a lot of fun. It's something that you will never, you can't even imagine what they're gonna write. And what they do write is a lot of fun to read out. And
It's
just
not
one
just
more,
fun. In fact, you get another perspective when you listen to others writing their
yes,
feelings and their emotions.
yes. And it's basically, and because these are your students and you're going to teach them for at least a year or two, it will help you a lot understand
Understand. Yeah.
where they're coming from. uh, if you do it a lot, you could basically, it kind of helps them open up to you as well, which I
Yes.
think will help you moving forward, obviously, in teaching. One
Exactly.
last example that you could do is, you're turning your water turning into ice. So basically now you have like the last seconds. I don't know. You could either think that you're dying. You could either think that you're becoming something else. You're
Else.
transforming. You could also become what was this, Captain America. You could do whatever. So it's gonna be a lot of fun when you read this, and obviously it will help you understand your students. Moving on to the next one. So this is basically chain story. This is something that we do whenever we're going into theater, whenever we're basically starting a play and we have a cast that does not know each other. This is a very good icebreaker as well, but it's a bit more advanced, so you could use it as a main game as well. So what chain story is basically is, you become the moderator types, and basically you start a story with one sentence. That sentence could be anything, but it has to lead on to other things. For example, what I wrote down as an example was, it was the day the classroom turned into a spaceship. That's it. That's how you start it. And then you get your students to keep the story going with one
Going.
sentence each. So even if like it's 30 students, you will never know where you end up. And it's great fun for the students to realize that they have the option, they have the power to change the narrative, which is something I think all of our students, all of us, even know, no matter how old we are, we always have to realize that we have the power to change our own narrative.
Yeah.
We have the power to change the narrative that's going on at the moment. And
Exactly.
also, other students will realize how the story changes with just one sentence, with just one movement. You can change everything. So it's a lot of fun, and it's obviously getting students to creatively think. And one thing, the first time I played this, I was number 10 in my theater coaching. I was the number 10th student. So when the story started with number one, I had 9 sentences to think about what I was going to say. But I couldn't actually think, because number 10th का मतलब ये है कि जो 9th जहाँ पे स्टोरी छोड़ेगा, मुझे वहां से स्टार्ट करनी है. सो एक ये भी है कि there's a टाइम फ्रेम कि you can think no matter what, कि आपने कहाँ से मैं करूंगा, कहाँ से करूंगा, बट वो जो आखिरी 10 सेकंड है, उसी में पता चलेगा कि आपने क्या करना है. And
Yeah. Exactly.
uh,
The
that's just
surprise element.
yes. So that's one game that you could use with your students as well. I could obviously, I think I will share a document with Rafa. Rafa, you can maybe share it with everyone who's a part of this. You'll have all these games that you could use and share in class as well. Um, just combining both of them, drama and writing. As I've said before, you don't have drama without writing, and writing is basically the building block when you bring it to drama. I One thing that you could use with all students is, when you're done building that block, you've done smaller games with drama, you've done smaller games with writing. you can then combine them two and make a bigger game, and you can ask them to enact scenes. Uh, before before you ask them to enact scenes, you ask them to write the scene. And so, for example, again, going back to examples from history, going back to examples from maths, going back to examples from science. So, for example, photosynthesis as an example that we could use. Talk about photosynthesis, you could ask them to enact a scene between the sun and the plant. You could ask them to enact the scene between the plant and the moon. So it's basically a lot more, they kind of understand where the plant is coming from. They kind of understand where the sun is coming from and how both of them need each other. Again, when we think of photosynthesis, you're talking about carbon dioxide coming out in the night. So it kind of helps you understand what the whole process is. I've seen diagrams in my own books. I've seen a whole cycle that it brings, the photosynthesis is all about. But when you get them to enact the scenes, uh, children will not need those pictures anymore. They will understand, they will remember how, for example, Ali and Subhan did that in class. And I think that'd be amazing for them to understand and memorize moving forward. Just some quick tips for everyone who's hopefully going to use this later on. You always have to keep it short. Keep these because I'm assuming that these kids have not done this before, or if they have, they've not done this for this subject before, and they've not done this with you before. So as short as it is, it's going to be more comfortable for them to come forward. For example, you could start with a game that's just making a picture or making a scene from one of the topics that you're talking about. So it can be used as ice breaking. You start slowly and then you go into the bigger games, but keep it short initially. Obviously, use groups. I'm sure you guys know that better. You can't just ask one student to come up and do something initially. Just ask a group to preferably divide them into two groups and get them to do these activities. Always connect back to your subject goal. Obviously, we have to keep that in mind, keeping obviously the tools that we can use for drama and writing, but connecting them to the subject goal that we have. And again, obviously, with everything that we do in class, it's always about participation, not performance. You can't really tell कि आपकी class से फवाद खान निकलेगा, आपकी class से बाबर आजम निकलेगा. You can basically just help them realize what they want to become through these activities. That's it from my side. If you guys have any questions, I will share a document with Rafia. Rafia, you can obviously share it with these everyone who's joined. That's it from my side. If you have any questions, please do let me know.
Jay, thank you so very much, Haris. It was a very good experience. In fact, आप जो बातें कर रहे थे, I have done it. I remember doing them in the class. और मुझे यही होता था कि concept like enacting as characters, and then yes, you took it further by doing the depicting a process in science can be done. Like some teachers never think drama can be used in science, for example, social studies, history, geography, वगैरह. Even geography and science are relatively technical subjects. And even in maths, I think, अब आपकी example से मुझे लग रहा है कि maths में भी हम बहुत सारी ये वाली activities use कर सकते हैं to teach the more difficult concepts, and the students can actually utilize this drama or role play as a means of understanding the concepts. And of course, it gives them to express themselves in more depth. वैसे जो बच्चे होते हैं हम सवाल जवाब सिर्फ कर रहे होते हैं ना, usually as teachers in our classroom we just ask what have you understood, and the question usually is have you understood, and that's about it. But when they actually perform, or when they are doing a role play, or they are actually demonstrating their understanding of any concept in any subject through drama or role play, they get deeper meaning and understanding of that concept, as you just mentioned कि बच्चे जब खुद करते हैं तो वो process उनको ज़्यादा अच्छा समझ आता है, चाहे वो scientific process हो. So really enjoyed your session. Thank you so very much, Haris, for joining us and sparing some time from your busy schedule. I know you keep busy. So I am grateful. Anyone else has a question, so you can ask in the chat or you can open your mics. I hope, Kamal, you are back.
Yes, I am back and I enjoyed whatever I listened. I mean, the half session which I attended, I really enjoyed it. And I was just recalling everything that कि मैं किस तरीके से क्लास में पढ़ाती हूँ, role play, and novels. Yes, you're right that when we do practical things, students, they understand it very well and they keep learning it with that as well. So thank you for such wonderful, strategies, for giving us wonderful strategies for the teaching.
And
No
keep us
problem.
updated, Haris, for your next play also. तो हम जो है जरूर सब ज्वाइन करेंगे as teachers. मैंने last time भी I tried कि मेरी टीम के लोग at least जरूर attend करें and everyone appreciated. And again वही वाली ये वाले सारे सवाल जैसे आपने कहा ना कि I am this example was very good. Very मतलब मुझे लग रहा था कि जैसे आप मेरी thoughts जो हैं you have put in this session कि you are a raindrop, first raindrop. So
Yeah.
yes, imagining the feeling and all, because I write too, and I write poetry mostly. तो मुझे मालूम है कि ये जो written expressions होते हैं ना, they are the deepest feelings inside.
Yeah.
So giving students such scenarios would really help them open up. वो
Yeah.
जो sometimes the bottled emotions आजकल के बच्चे के साथ especially when they are into their pre-teens and then teenagers, it's very difficult to get them talking. So this is one strategy that teachers could utilize to know their deepest fears also, even the fears. So we could give them such scenarios and really understand our students better by utilizing that.
Yes, I think drama and writing is very important, getting everyone to open up. It has worked wonders for me, myself, people that I know. I'm generally in life, I'm a very introverted person, but when it comes to theater, when it comes to drama or writing, it kind of helps me open up. And I think that works for everyone around the world. You just give them a paper and pen, you ask them to write whatever they want, and they'll tell you the whole story. So that's something, that can help students come out of their box, come out and talk to you, talk to anyone else. And if they're looking for help, they will ask you. If they're looking just to have fun, they'll tell you through a line, a paragraph, or an essay. So I hope these are helpful. If you would want any more help with this, we do a lot of exercises in theater. I could share a document with you. You can use them if you want and spread it around.
I would ask you to, whenever you have time, to design a training for teachers. And since I am actually emphasizing in my training programs the extracurricular activities, which are the need of the time, because the way the technology is changing professions and the need of the time, this is what we need to bring out the best in the students. So to tap into their potential, it is very important that they engage in different extracurricular activities, and one of them is presenting, even if they don't want to be actors. Like I was always afraid to be an actor and never participated in any dramas. But yes, I did speeches, I did debates, I was on the rostrum for all these things. But drama, I always felt I would never be able to act. So there may be students in our classrooms who want to act, but they don't have the right kind of guidance, or
Yeah.
those who want to participate in any extracurricular activities. So this could be the basis, the classroom scenarios where they actually first enact in front of their own peers, and then they are able to overcome the stage fear and go on stage and perform and share their feelings, their emotions, their opinions about anything or everything. So thank you again, Haris. Kamal, we will take a namaz break for 10 minutes, and then 6 o'clock we log in again. So thank you, everyone. Please join at 6 for the grand finale. Today we are ending the Teachers Leadership Camp, and we are moving towards our International Leadership Conference in October on World Teachers Day, inshallah. So we will be talking about that in the next segment, starting at 6 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.